How do I take attendance in an online class? I'm going to watch this episode of 5 Minutes of Canvas. My name is Greg Beyer, and I've been teaching with technology since the days of HyperCard. Most of my career has been spent with Cosumnes River College and the online network of educators. If you'd like me to keep making videos on how to use technology to support our students, please subscribe. In this video, I'm going to show how to take attendance in an online class using the tools for Canvas. Now, we take attendance for a couple of reasons. Most importantly, we want to know that our students are in our classes, are engaged with the learning that we're providing. It also may be requirements for our institutions to take attendance, in particular documenting the last day of attendance for our students. That has to do with financial aid regulations. And at some institutions like mine, we are encouraged to drop students who don't show up at the beginning of class. There may be other students who are on the wait list that might be able to take the class that we're offering. In a synchronous online class, like an in-person class, attendance taking is pretty straightforward. Did the students show up? If you use Zoom to conduct synchronous classes, then you can go into the Zoom reports section to see exactly who showed up in each of the sessions that you had. For online classes that are asynchronous, we have to be a little bit more creative with how we know that students actually showed up, and apparently just logging in isn't enough to constitute attendance. In my history classes, in my first week of attendance, I do things like have students introduce themselves on a discussion. I also have them take a pre-course survey that helps me learn a little bit about them as I begin the semester with them. I also have a couple of activities that are related specifically to my discipline in my class that I want them to complete during that first week. And then after the first week, I have assignments due on every Wednesday and every Sunday. So I've got 2 points of data every week to know whether students have actually done that. So in my district, we have a policy where we are encouraged to drop students who don't show up during the first week of the semester. But that makes me wonder, why is there a difference between the first week and the other weeks of the semester? And is that fair? I need to turn to camera 2. I try to teach my classes with compassion and inclusion, and that includes honoring the lived experiences that my students bring to our interactions. And sometimes those lived experiences include crises or emergencies, which means they can't actually attend or participate in a class in a given week. Why is it that if that week just happens to be the first week of the semester, I'm supposed to drop them? But if that week is any time other than the semester, I don't need to drop them? I don't have a straight answer for that, but it's something that I think about each semester when I'm teaching my classes. Let's go back to camera 1. So I've talked about why do we take attendance. I've talked a little bit about how, but I haven't actually shown it yet. So it's demo time. In my history course, the first module is called Getting Started, and it's in this module where I have my students complete the attendance taking activities during that first week. Those include taking a quiz on academic integrity. I also have a quiz on what is a primary source. This is very important to being an historian, so I want to make sure that my students know how to identify primary sources at the beginning. I require my students to submit a pre-course survey. This allows me to collect some information about them, to get to know them a little bit as I begin the semester with them. Finally, I require students to contribute to the introductions discussion. This is how we build the community of scholars in this class. Each of those are requirements for this module, and students must complete all the items. When they complete the module, I then make that a prerequisite for the next module, which is the first content module in the class. This is another way that I ensure students participate in the class during that first week. Then for each of the content modules, which in my class last 2 weeks, I have assignments due every Wednesday and Sunday. In the first week, I have my students do a couple of assignments for each of the chapters that they're reading that week. Also in that first week, they begin a discussion where they compare the text with video. And in the second week, they have a research assignment due on Wednesday. They're going to find a primary source, and then they use that primary source in the writing assignment, which is due on Sunday. I also close each of my content modules with a brief survey that allows me to keep track of how my students are doing throughout the course. With this system, I have an easy way to check attendance, and the activities that my students are doing are also connected to the learning I want them to do in the class. Finally, for their benefit, by making my assignments due on consistent days each week, I help my students manage their time and fit my class into the other responsibilities that they have. Thank you for watching this video. Please let me know in the doobly-doo, what other ways do you think that you can take attendance in an online class? Also, I would love to know which topics you think are worthy of a 5-minute explanation. Never stop learning, and I'll see you in the next one.